What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Coinbros, and we are talking about BitMine
Yeah,
today, right? That's
Do
the
some
what we're
Tom
price.
Lee.
Let's
Tom
do
Lee.
some
We're
12-month price predictions.
huh? Oh, we can do some price predictions too. I like it. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the BitMine. Tom Lee, they bought another $140 million worth of Ethereum. I keep saying they kind of it feels like MicroStrategies for Ethereum. Like they just want to buy it all up.
For sure.
We'll talk about that and. Yeah, make some predictions. I think people like that, right? So let's do all that. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Well, I
What's
got a
up?
couple points here that I can read off that I've got summarized. So, network activity just hit record highs, very bullish long term. So, Ethereum active addresses, smart contract calls recently hit record levels, but price is still down 30% over the period. Huge divergence. There's a divergence. So, it appears that ETH is being used a lot more, but yet the price
Mhm.
is hasn't reacted to that.
So what that could mean two things, right? It could mean either it's oversold and we're gonna see it explode up at some point like a boiling pot, or it means the people with a lot big wallets are just keep selling right into it and keeping the price down, whether that be the foundation or like whales, whatever. But at the end of the day, eventually they stop selling, either they run out of coins or and then the upward price action will always shoot it through the roofs. But I think that's always the case with crypto, right? Like especially the big ones. It's just a matter of time, really.
When markets realize activity equals demand, repricing happens like all of a sudden quickly.
Yeah.
So, you know who else has been constantly harping on ETH going up, 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 up is Arthur Hayes, even though he's also made some
hmm
crazy predictions for Bitcoin. But
Hmm.
he's always saying ETH, it skipped a cycle, this and that, it's going to catch up. So ETH hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, it's still growing.
Yep.
It's getting used more. Stable coins on ETH, all the layers two, three, four, fives.
I mean, you could say that it's growing more than any crypto, right? Like you really could say if you look at it from like a vantage point from like all of the different layer twos, all the things that run off of Ethereum based, EVM, it's just like it really is like the fastest growing ecosystem probably, but that doesn't
Yeah.
always, I mean, we're seeing, right? The price doesn't always match what's building, right? So like at some point it will.
Well,
Maybe
all
we
the
should
layer
pull up a chart
twos.
and make pull up a
Yeah.
chart and make predictions on the chart. Like, let's look at the previous all-time high, and
Mhm.
then while you're pulling that up, I'll read a couple more things. So, we were talking about BitMine, which is Tom Lee, holding to 4.47 million ETH, worth almost a billion, almost 100 million added. Crypto
Yep.
funds saw 117 million inflows into ETH products since
Ooh,
January.
that's
Another
interesting.
whale rotated 22 million from tokenized gold into ETH. Um, so we're seeing little signals. Institutions accumulate when retail sentiment is fear. That is literally the definition of cycle bottoms forming. And
Yeah,
go
what do
ahead.
you guys think? Do you like, let's just make another little quick prediction. How close to the bottom do you think we are, real quick, if you had to guess?
I don't know what the whole market.
Yeah, just the overall crypto market, like all the big alts, like Ethereum, Bitcoin. I think we're pretty close to the bottom, man. I don't,
I
like
would say so.
I
it
give it a
feels like we're,
60-40.
yeah.
60% that we hit the bottom at. I saw when I was watching that dump, I saw it go to like 59, 58. They're saying it was 60, but in my mind, it hit like it kind of wicked to 58, 59 before it recovered. So that's why I say maybe 65, 35, 65% chance we already bottomed, which means um, we could go sideways and just kind of pull back up, pull back up, pull back up.
I mean, that's kind of what we've
Um,
been doing, right? We've been chopping so hard these last like 2 months or 3 months since like the actual crazy nuke down, because October
mhm.
is when we peaked, right? And then from October, November, December, we were just kind of trending, kind of going down a little bit, but it'd still be up around 90. It almost hit 100,000. And then starting at the beginning of the year, we just nuked down. So,
Well,
but
it's like the market is the infrastructure, everything has grown so much, right? So like I remember last cycle, you still had people calling Bitcoin a scam. You do not hear that anymore. Like you still had people on major news outlets talking about how crypto was a scam that's out the window, right? So like if we do see these big crashes, like people are going to buy it up now. People, there's not going to be a prolonged, the coin that like oversold, especially like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Smart people are going to buy it up a lot quicker, and it's not going to hold like that. Because last cycle we were sitting at like a 16K Bitcoin for the longest time, and everybody wishes they would have been buying that, at 16K, and it was there for months.
I bought some at
Also,
16K. That was a good buy for me, man.
also major Ethereum upgrade cycles underway. So we're getting some major upgrades, which we've been waiting for forever.
Yeah, and you got guys like Tom Lee, who are buying up insane amounts of it, of Ethereum, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon, right? And what's
Yeah.
funny is like MicroStrategy's, Tommy, they're all kind of under their entry point, right? And they just keep buying. I saw that Michael Saylor, they're not even at even money right now, and they just keep buying. He's buying another 32
Oh,
billion.
dude, when it nuked down to 60K, I think they were down $30 billion in the negative, and they still raised money to keep buying more and more and more
Yeah.
because of those other assets that they have, like the MT, SR, and all the other.
It's it's a case of you're either extremely genius or you're a complete moron. But if you look at history, you've never been stupid to buy Bitcoin
Yeah.
or crypto, right?
Yeah.
Like it's never been a bad move over time
I
to
mean,
this
yeah,
point.
you look at guys like Tim Draper, who they said the exact same thing to back in I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2016 or 2015. He bought Bitcoin at like, at the peak. And this is when the United States took some money from Silk Road and they auctioned off like 30,000 Bitcoin. He paid $18 million for it at the very peak. And that's what they asked him. They're like, well, what do you think this is like a smart move or whatever? And he's like, no, well, either there's two things, right? I'm going to look like a genius after this when it explodes, or I'm gonna look like an idiot if it goes down to zero. And
Yep.
obviously, you see
He
where he's at
looks like a
now.
damn genius, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and you also have, the SEC, right? The Gary Gensler's gone. It looks like they're moving in the direction of calling most cryptos a commodity, right? Which is what everybody wants. So it's like it's in the right direction for what we want to see for a lot of these big coins. And it's always the same story, man. It's like you have opportunities to buy things when they're low. You just don't know how low they're going to go. That's what stops people. You try to time the bottom. You try to figure out how low things can go, and then you end up missing the boat because you're just you know, because sentiment drives everyone, no matter whether you want to admit it or not. When everybody's down on something, it plays with you mentally. You
Yep.
start buying into the nonsense people are talking about. Everyone starts saying negative things, and then it plays tricks on you, right? The guys that really do well are the guys like the micro strategies. They just like, I'm
Like
buying
Tom
more. I'm
Lee.
just gonna buy
Yep.
more, buy more, buy more, and they don't even think about it. They just keep doing it because they know the vision.
Yeah. I mean, I was just looking
There's
at this
some,
article here, Tom Lee, they
well,
bought another $138 million worth of ETH today,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they just keep buying.
I mean, look at the face
There's a
on that
narrative going around that ETH could very well become the global settlement layer because it makes more sense than Bitcoin because all the stable coins,
guy.
Hmm.
as far as all the different chains that are easily compatible, you don't need to use centralized exchanges. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's very difficult to
Yeah.
go to different coins, this and that. I mean, the beauty of Bitcoin is because it's a pain in the ass to move it.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I would have probably lost way more money if it was easier to move Bitcoin into altcoins because
Sure.
this past cycle, everybody thought that the only way to make money, to make the real money, was to get into altcoins because if altcoins could just revisit their previous all-time highs.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I was like, oh, it's a hassle. I got to go to a centralized exchange. There's no like EVM way to cross-chain it. And there are ways, but it's like you lose so much slippage and there's
Yeah.
risk that you just go, fuck it. I'm not even going to do it. Fuck it. I'm just
Yeah.
going to leave it. And that ended up being the best possible thing you could do because all these altcoins that everybody thought were going to revisit their all-time highs, they didn't. They sucked.
Yeah,
And
it's true, man. Like Bitcoin
yeah,
the fact that it's difficult to move around, it takes forever. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. Saved a lot of people money, man. I mean,
yep,
I moved some Bitcoin to like play around because like you got to think, bro, the past cycles, that is what happened. Right? Altcoins are always the outperformers. Always you get into these altcoins when Bitcoin's high and then you can run it up. And this cycle just wasn't like that. Unless you just happen to get in some meme coins and get lucky. But like altcoins super underperformed
there were
this
so many
cycle, and everybody,
influencers that were saying that same thing. Alex Becker was saying, you don't make money in Bitcoin, you make money
yeah,
in altcoins. I'm putting everything into altcoins. You had Elio trade saying the same thing. Those guys were the geniuses of the previous cycle, and then they became the idiots of the last cycle,
Hmm.
because all they did is talk about going into altcoins and gaming, which none of it worked.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. This cycle was very different, man. There was like money came in. There was a lot of money that came in. It was just wasn't the same way that we've seen for the past three cycles. It's like that's why it's good to you got to really pay
Well,
attention and don't just listen to everything you hear people saying because, things change every cycle. Like there's always something a little different, right?
yeah.
The only thing that hasn't changed is Bitcoin keeps getting stronger.
See, the thing
Yeah.
about this cycle though is the money was spread out so thinly because it was going to all these different layer twos because that's what they thought was the solution for Ethereum, right? Was layer twos, layer threes,
Yeah.
all these different places. And when you start spreading out the money like that, it's hard for to concentrate on the one for it to kind of move up to help move everything else up, right? So everything went into either Solana meme coins or they went into all these other different layer twos that they thought were going to do well, like the gaming ones and some of these other ones that were out there like AI ones and stuff, but none of it did well. It all kind of just went right back down to zero, and everything's going to go
Mhm.
back to the
It's
big
it's gonna
players.
be interesting, bro. Like this next cycle is I'm almost more interested than any past cycle because we have seen a switch, right? Like for two to three cycles, it was the same thing. It's like you altcoins, they're gonna break all-time highs. You kind of know what to do. You put money in them low. They'll run up. Now it's like everything's been flipped on its head as far as the altcoins because now you have meme coins, which kind of became the altcoin this season, right? And it got spread out really thin. And there's gonna be a new wave of something that does really well this next cycle. We don't know what it is yet, right? And it's like now we can't really go off of like altcoins are going to revisit all-time highs. We don't know that. We don't know if a lot of these are just going to die. And people are a lot more shaky on like putting big money into like the top 100 altcoins because they did underperform this last cycle. Now we could just go back. We might have just skipped a cycle and maybe, it's going to go back to the old ways where altcoins start ripping again, but there's a good chance that it doesn't, right? So you got to be ready for whatever the next thing is and you got to stay tuned in.
Yeah.
Well, if you're one of those conservative-minded people, where you just like, I just want to go conservative, but yet you want to take a little bit of risk for a higher outcome, I would say ETH is your best bet because I can definitely see ETH outperforming Bitcoin, and I think ETH is safe enough that it ain't going anywhere. It's big enough that it ain't going anywhere. You know, um, there's a what is it called? Is it I can't remember that law where it states that the bigger something gets, the more likely it is it's going to survive and continue. And I think ETH has kind of reached that size. And the only reason why I think ETH isn't the global settlement potential layer is simply just it doesn't quite have the liquidity market cap yet, like Bitcoin does. So once ETH goes into the trillions, then it will.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I think ETH will go into the trillions. What is it at right now? What's the market cap?
Market cap is 260 billion, but this is again now being low, right? Let's go look
That's
at
it, huh? Wow.
if
So to go
we
to
look
one
at
trillion
it.
is a 4x right there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and
down it's down halfway from its all-time
I mean, I think we see that for sure
high.
this next cycle. I think we for sure we see $1 trillion Ethereum. Like I would be very surprised if we don't see an eight to
I mean,
$10,000
we were
Ethereum.
almost there this last cycle. We were at 600 billion. It only peaked at there
That's
at
a
That's
10,000
it.
ETH. A
yeah.
Yeah,
10,000
it's a
ETH.
yeah. Yeah, that'd be a 10,000 and ETH, and it will get there, right?
You
Like
get
we got to what was the all-time high? 5,000, almost six.
It
Was that the
was
all-time?
no,
4,800
no.
or 4,900.
Yeah,
Oh,
48,
we didn't even
49.
hit five. Okay, so let's say it
No.
doubles. Like I think we could easily. I think that's a fair assessment that we could see it double, which is about a $10,000 Ethereum at the peak, and maybe more, right?
Yeah, that would put it at a 1.2
Could
trillion
go
dollar
crazy.
market cap is what it
Yeah,
would
I
put it
mean,
at.
it could go crazy, right? Like as the world adopts it in so many ways, like it will go crazy, right?
I mean, if
So
Bitcoin goes to 200,000, I have to think that ETH is going to go over a trillion because a $200,000 Bitcoin is not, what is that around? What is that, about a four or 5 trillion market cap? I
Uh,
don't know. I don't know offhand, but if Bitcoin goes to 200K, what would that market cap be? Um,
so it was at 2.5 trillion when it peaked. So
so it'd be like 4 trillion.
yeah.
So if Bitcoin goes to 200K, I think it makes sense. ETH goes to 1.2, 1.5 trillion,
Hmm.
which
okay, so
basically,
that
yeah.
Is that what we're speculating? Is it, are we doing our predictions right now?
Well, I'm just saying that if it breaks if Bitcoin breaks its all-time high and goes to 200K, and you would have to think ETH has to do that. But
The only
I like
thing I
the
worry about is that the foundation tends to sell like crazy when you start reaching new highs, and they've done it every cycle. And you can't ignore that, right? Like they have a lot of ETH and they like to sell it when it starts going nuts.
how much
So
ETH do they have left? I wonder.
I don't know. We should find that out. But it's like what they do. Everybody's like,
Well,
dude, they
they
just
would
keep
be
repiling it.
accumulating more and more, right? Because it's infinite supply. So it just the more it keeps getting made, then they're just going to keep adding to their stack.
Yeah. So
Well,
they keep.
they don't just get to keep what's made; they have to stake as well. They have to stake their
Yeah,
own
yeah, of
ETH.
course. But they
I
also
mean,
sell some of it, you know?
it is a it's a staking. It's basically staking rewards, right? So whoever has the most is going to keep earning the most, which looks like it's going to be Tom Lee, right?
Looks like it. Yeah, he's
Why
buying
don't
up
we make
everything.
predictions on? Well, we can make two predictions. Predictions in the next 12 months, and then what is the next bull cycle prediction?
Okay.
People like short-term predictions, like
I think
within the next 12 months.
I think within the next 12 months we're looking pretty good. I don't think we're going to be in a like I think we're going to start turning up over the next 3 to 6 months. I think we're pretty close to the bottom. So I'm going to say we'll crack 4,500 within the next 12 months, and I think the next all-time high is I'm going to go with 12K.
Okay.
Within the next 12 months, I
So
think,
that's
yeah.
his two predictions. That's the 12-month within 12 months, and then just the next all-time high.
All-time high. Yeah, which
Y-
could be in 2 years, could
Yeah,
be in 1 year, could be in
I
two
think in
years.
12 months we can 100% be back at ATH because if we think that we're at bottom or we're pretty much damn close and we're just going to chop for a little while and it's holding 2000 like fairly well because they just keep buying, I can see it going to ATH again
I mean, you
in
got to
12
think too,
months.
man. We got the
Well, you
war
got to
going
give a
on. We have
prediction. We need a
Yeah.
price prediction
Okay, so
within 12 months.
I'm gonna go back to whatever the high was, 4,800 around there.
That's
That's
in
my
12
prediction.
months.
Yeah.
Within 12 months.
and what about all-time high
So
next
that's
cycle?
March next year. And an all-time high. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with like around 10. I think we can get to 10. I think we double if Bitcoin gets to 200,000. So minus 10.
All right. Okay, I'll give my price prediction. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go higher on the up end and lower on the short term. And the reason why is because of all the turmoil and this and that. I think if ETH starts approaching its previous all-time high, I think there's gonna be a lot of selling because people won't know or believe yet that it's recovered or it's back. And in the next 12 months, we won't, a lot of people are, the experts, the pros are gonna know that we bottomed, but a lot of people aren't gonna believe it. So what I'm going to say is that it has resistance at 4K. So in the next 12 months, maybe I see the all-time high 3,800 because as soon as it starts getting close to 4K, it's still far enough out of the parabolic bull cycle that I think people might not believe it. So it might kind of try to tap it a couple times. Because if it does go over 4K, then maybe you do see an all-time high, but I'm going to say 3,800 within the next 12 months. However, on the next bull market, what did you guys predict?
I said 12.
I said 10.
Okay, I'll go 15.
I should have gone higher. I was just
Too
thinking,
late,
well,
bro. Too
I
late.
know it's
You
too
don't get to
late,
go back.
but I didn't think about the tokenization of all this other shit that these hedge funds companies and stuff like that want to do. And there's so much money in all that stuff, right? So if they start tokenizing all that shit and it's sitting in all these portfolios
Write it
and
down. Write
books.
down our predictions, and then we can
All right. We can go
Well,
back.
so we got 10, 12, 15. It's pretty easy.
That's our prediction. So lock them in, man. And then if we're wrong, you can come back and call us idiots.
you know what? Write it in the description of the video.
Yeah.
Just write the predictions. Say all-time high, next all-time high, and within 12 months.
Bottom line is, if even if we're all way off, they're not financial advice, but this is definitely a good price, I think. Like if you're buying anything between 1 and 2,000 on Ethereum, if we know anything about this industry, like I always say, it doesn't matter if you buy it at a 1,500 or 2,200 or 2,500. If the end goal is 15 to 20,000, you're not going to look back and say, "Man, I wish I bought it at 1,500 as opposed to 2,000." You're not going to care, right? You're going to be like, "Damn, I should have been swooping it up when it was
You're gonna be
low."
stoked. Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's the same thing with Bitcoin. I always tell people stop trying to time the bottom because you'd be a billionaire if you knew how to do that. Like that's not how it works. find a position that you're comfortable with, that you think is good, and just load up. And then you got to also find a time when you're willing to sell. Don't just hold it forever, right? If you want to make some money, you got to be willing to sell it too when it does go crazy. And don't buy into the hype either way. Don't buy into the FUD and everyone being negative, and don't buy into the ridiculous, like, parabolic nonsense talk when it does get there. You got to know when to buy and when to sell that you're comfortable with, not what's
Or
right
if you're
or
taking
wrong.
the strategic conservative route, know when to borrow against.
Hmm.
Yep.
So,
And we'll do a whole video on that, on how to borrow and all that. I think is like a whole separate talk we
well,
should do
then you
next, is
never
like,
really have to get rid of your asset and you can be a little bit more conservative. And I think it's a way to basically add a little sugar and icing on the top of of just a hodl. 'Cause, if you take hodling, you can do that. So yeah, we can go into that next time.
yeah, I
Yep.
think that's a good one. And then we'll also do some videos, which I'll lead the charge on some extremely degen shit that, like, if you want to gamble and be a psycho and try to get 1,000x, trust me, we love doing that too.
We we
So,
we
you
do.
know what I mean? Like, and that is a reality. There's that
That'll be
part of the
fun.
market, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, much love, you guys.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave your guys' prediction down there, and we'll keep the competition going.
Let's do
So,
it.
all right, guys. Peace.
Peace.